can see him there in the white shirt. His last seen walking up the stairs of the South Tower. He wanted to make sure his office was clear. Brett, there 20 years ago on the right, is now leading the charge to declassify these documents. Ken Williams, former FBI agent, wrote a memo before 9/11 that warned potential terrorists were taking flight lessons in Arizona. They both join me now. Brett, start with you. Best case scenario, the president declassifies everything. What do you learn?
Well, we'll learn that our government has known for years that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had a lot more to do with 9/11 than the official narrative says. And the official narrative is that 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi nationals, but it goes so much deeper than that. You have a Saudi support network here in the United States that was in place a year before the hijackers even arrived. You have Saudi support from mid-level officials right down to the hijackers' handlers themselves. The Saudis were using their embassies in the United States to coordinate support for the 9/11 hijackers.
All right. So, Ken, how much of what you just heard from Brett is speculation and how much of it is founded in some kind of evidence?
It's founded in evidence. I can't get into the details because I'm under a protective order that the FBI had me sign when I started working for the plaintiff's attorneys here. So where this all originates from, Leland.
So in other words, you have seen evidence, but you can't discuss it because of this protective order that you're working for Brett's attorneys who are representing all these victims. The idea, Brett, is that if somehow this gets declassified, you can then use these documents to sue the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Well, I'll just interrupt here for 1 minute. It's not speculation, and there is public available information, such as the 2012 FBI Operation Encore report. We have a redacted version of that report, and it's the FBI's own words that says there is evidence that Mossad al-Jarrah tasked Thumairy and Bayoumi with assisting the hijackers. Mossad al-Jarrah was a mid-level Saudi government employee living and working in Washington, D.C., working out of the Washington embassy. He was tasking, so he was giving orders to those beneath him to help the hijackers. Those are the FBI's own words. They're not our words. They're not allegations. There is evidence that. When we ask for that evidence, the government says, can't tell you, that's a state secret.
So, Ken, why is something so important to America to understand who attacked us and who helped those who attacked us kept secret 20 years later?
Well, that's the great question. And when the FBI keeps invoking state secrets, I think we have to really examine that, because state secrets should not cover the mass brutal murder of thousands of our citizens. I mean, American people, the American public need to know the answers as to what took place before 9/11. The other two employees that Brett are talking about are Fahad al-Thumairy, who was a Ministry of Islamic Affairs employee assigned to the consulate in Los Angeles, the Saudi consulate in Los Angeles. And he was the imam of the King Fahad Mosque in Los Angeles. And he met the two hijackers, Khalid al-Mihar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, upon their arrival in the United States at LA. The second employee is a guy by the name of Omar al-Bayoumi. He's also a paid employee of the government of Saudi Arabia. He was working for a subcontractor of a Saudi aviation company by the name of Dala Avco. The subcontractor he was working for was Erkan. But both of these companies had extensive connections and relationships with the Saudi Ministry of Defense, from which Bayoumi was receiving a paycheck. So you got three government employees of Saudi Arabia that were providing support to the two initial hijackers that came into the United States. And that's very significant.
Very significant, perhaps what they might say correlation, not exactly causation yet. Brett, to get some kind of judgment against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, if you were to sue them, you have to have direct proof, right?
Actually, we are in a civil lawsuit, so all we need is a preponderance of evidence. We think we already have that. We probably even have more than that, enough to prosecute them criminally. But I think the bigger question here is, why are we 20 years down this path, and why are we begging our government for information? What is so secret about it? What is behind these files that we can't know? What is in there that necessitates a state secret designation, not once, but 2 times? What is in there that spans administration from administration? What is so secret about this information? We shouldn't be here as family members pleading our government. Look, this is a bipartisan issue. We have support on both sides of the aisle. Some of our biggest supporters in the United States Congress are Senator Blumenthal and Senator Cornyn.
Brett, I hate to interrupt you, but I want to have Ken explain something here. State secret designation, that sounds awfully important. Without giving us specifics of this, give us examples of the requirements for something to become a state secret.
All right, well, let's say, for instance, I was running an intelligence operation and I had a high-level informant within a particular government or in a particular research facility or whatnot, and disclosure of that type of information would compromise the intelligence operation that we had ongoing and could get a particular person killed, imprisoned, or whatever. So I mean, it's at that level. I mean, but Leland, I think the biggest issue that I have with this state secrets is this is the biggest mass murder that's ever taken place in our country's history. There should be there should be an exception to that.
You've seen a lot of this information during your time at the FBI and now working for the plaintiff's attorney. Is there anything in there that you think rises to the level of state secret, so it should stay classified?
I don't believe so. I believe I don't want to speculate, and I don't want to give my particular opinions on things because I work on facts. But I think it's just basically perhaps the government doesn't want to embarrass the government of Saudi Arabia, and their employees' involvement with the terrorists.
Brett, I've only got about 20 or 30 seconds. Obviously, a glimmer of hope because President Biden's ordered this review. Do you have any reason to think that they're going to actually give you everything you want?
We need to be cautiously optimistic. We've been down this road before. We've been roadblocked before. We've had our legislation vetoed by presidents, and we've been lied to by other presidents. So we are going to remain clear-eyed. We are going to continue watching, and we're going to make sure that the FBI and the DOJ uphold what they have committed to doing. And anything less, they're going to hear from the families. We're not going anywhere.
Well, in the end, this is a decision the president can make unilaterally. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Lou.
Some people have joint pain, plus have high blood pressure. They may not be able to take just anything for pain.